Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another eMarketeer Academy webinar. Thanks for being here. I hope that you are tuned in and ready for some news in eMarketeer because that is indeed the topic of today. Thanks for joining. You should be seeing my slides on your screen and hearing me loud and clear, I hope. So as mentioned, the topic today is the recent news that we have released in eMarketeer. I want to make sure that you are up to date on what we've been doing the last couple of months and what we've been releasing, so that you make the most out of eMarketeer and use all of the bells and whistles that we put into the tool. So that's what we'll be covering today. My name is Klaus. If you haven't been on one of the eMarketeer webinars before, I'm usually the host, and sometimes I bring some folks into to the webinar as well. But today is going to be yours truly doing all the talking, but hopefully I get you to pitch in with questions. We're going to be 45 minutes to an hour on the webinar, at least that's the schedule. But I encourage you to ask questions during the webinar. We have a Q&A session at the end where I will try to kind of sum up on all of the questions. I might even pick up questions during the webinar, so don't be shy. Other people can't see what you type and what you ask, so there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Questions are just an interesting way of keeping things a little bit more interactive in the webinar, and I'll do my best to keep an eye out on the questions that are popping in as we go. All right. The webinar will be recorded, so you don't need to worry too much about where I click or how I do stuff. You can always go back to look at the recording. And of course, I encourage you to share the recording with colleagues you have that may not be on the webinar today, but you think might benefit from the stuff that we're covering today. All right, so the objectives are already said that twice, but are to focus on what have we released recently in SuperOffice, in eMarketeer. That is, can you tell I'm doing a lot of SuperOffice and eMarketeer webinars too? What we have released in eMarketeer, we're going to look at 4 major releases. First and foremost, the campaign fields. We're going to look at the image editor. We're going to look at campaign reports because that's gotten a major upgrade in the last couple of months, and then the engagement filter as well. And then we have a sneak peek at the very end with what we are releasing in the next month or so. So if you stick around to the very end, which I hope you do, we've got some pretty interesting stuff there. It's going to be the first step on a very interesting journey that we're embarking upon. So stay tuned for the sneak peek for the next release there. But without further ado, again, if you have questions, just let me know. If there are things that are burning in your mind that are not on this screen, shoot me a question in the questions box. I may pick it up, or at the very least, I will answer you directly via email after the webinar. So here we go. So the first topic that we are going to cover is going to be campaign fields. Now, this is maybe a bit of a tricky creature to get your head around. So I've gone quite into detail on how to use campaign fields because it is really, really powerful, and it can save you a lot of time if you're doing, now I won't say redundant campaigns, but if you're doing campaigns that kind of have the same structure, where you can benefit from reusing your previous work. So that's where campaign fields are really, really powerful. Or if you copy campaigns from one part of your organization to another, and they can quickly adapt their campaigns. But enough gibberish, let's go right into campaign fields and see how we use them and why we believe they're so beneficial and in making you work really efficient with your campaign. Cheers. All right, so we're in a campaign, pretty standard eMarketeer stuff. In the campaign view here, we see my invitation, registration, confirmation, and a day before SMS. And as you may have guessed, it's an event. It's a breakfast seminar that we're doing in May, and I want to use campaign fields to make the editing of this campaign super easy. So you may have noticed a new tab over here called fields, and this is where the magic happens. So clicking on fields will bring you this view, which is obviously empty when you don't have any campaign fields. And I'm going to add a bunch of campaign fields that we can then merge into our content to make it easy to update the content. So clicking Add Campaign Fields brings up this dialog where I can give my field a name. I'm going to use event name, choose a field type and text for this purpose. I'm going to add another one called event description. So that's a bit of a longer text, and I'm going to use the text area part for that one. And let's go ahead and add an event date as well, and choose the date field for that, which is neat because it has a calendar functionality. And then lastly, I'm going to add a field called event image, which, as you've guessed, is an image. So as you can see, I can go ahead and add as many fields as I want from the different types: text, text area, date, and image. These are the different types of campaign fields we have available now. You can add as many as you like, and you can go ahead and click the cogwheel here to edit the title or delete fields you don't need. That's pretty straightforward. Now, from now on, you just have to drop in the values that you would like these fields to represent in your campaign. So going through the different fields here, I'll just add some text, or in this case, a date. We're going to choose 25th of May is going to be the event date for this thing. We're going to add a description. Let's get together and talk about content marketing and drink coffee. Image, we can go ahead and choose an image in my image archive. So I've prepared a little header image for this campaign. Event location is going to be our office, and she's the science tower. Event name, coffee, cookies, and content marketing. And event time is going to be 10 o'clock Central European Standard Time. So those are the variables or the campaign fields I can now merge into my different campaign components. And you've guessed it, if I change the field, the value will change in all of the components. And this is where things get pretty smart. So let's go ahead and save the fields that I've just created and the values that go along with it, and have a look at how to insert the campaign fields into my campaign components. So back at the components, we can see all of the different parts that my event marketing consists of, as we checked out before. So let's go ahead and edit the email here first, drop in my campaign fields and see how the fields populate my content there. So we're gonna click edit. And as you can see, the email is pretty bland right now. It's a standard template. It has a blank field for the event name. It has an image. It has some location and time slots here. And I have some description that I would like to have updated here. So what I'll do is I'll click these different fields, and I'll use the personalization icon here to merge in my campaign fields. All right, so when I click this guy, you will be familiar with the contact card field, so you can personalize with a name and company and so on. You have your account data, so you can merge in stuff from your account. And then the new thing here, the new kid on the block, is your campaign fields. And here you can see the fields that I just created, date, description, and so on. They are now available as fields I can merge into my content. So let's go ahead and drop in the event name at the very top there and save that. And then you can see that the event name that I entered on the campaign fields page is now merged into my email. As you can see over here, the merge field is in the editor and the content is showing in the preview area. I'm just going to grab one more. In this case, I'm going to grab the event image and select that one and copy the merge field for this one. And you'll see why in a sec. So I'll just copy or cut out the merge field for the event image, and then go to my image block and simply paste in the campaign field right there. I can't personalize, I don't have the personalized icon here, so that's why I use this little trick to get the campaign field into the image placeholder there. And then when I click save, lo and behold, my campaign or event banner image is showing in the image placeholder block there. And I will go through the rest of the email here. As you can see, at the event date, I'll be using the personalized guide to do that, the location and the time. And I'm almost done. I just want to add the description down here. We've got seminar. I'm going to go ahead and select this block, and then add the description as my final campaign field that goes into this piece. So now the description goes into my email. So as you can see, I can drop in the variables here easily, and the text from the campaign fields page will be merged in. Now, you could argue, why not just write all of this stuff in? But when you have more components, it starts to make sense, especially if you want to do changes. Let's say that we wanted to change the time from 10 to 11. I can just change it one place on the campaign fields page, and the time slot or the time would be changed in all of the components that used that campaign field. All right. So another neat thing is you can also use campaign fields in the sender information over here, for instance, in the subject line. So if I wanted to have new seminar and then the event name there, I can just use the personalize button. You know this dialog by now, grabbing the event name, and then that is added to the subject line. So now I have a template that will automatically grab the values I have from the campaign fields page and just put them right into where I want them in my email. Okay, so let's go ahead and drop out back into our campaign and just have a look at the other components where I could be adding my campaign fields. And as you can see, they could all be updated. Now, just let's have a peek into the form, for instance. As you can see, I can use the campaign variable, the campaign field, to get my banner image, my title, description, location, and time. It could merge right in there. In the form editor, you simply copy and paste the fields into your content where you need them. We obviously have a confirmation email. That's the same as the invitation. I just use the personalization option to get my fields into the email. And you can also drop your personalization into an SMS, for instance. So as you can see over here, you can use the personalize option and you can merge in the campaign fields here. Wow. And you can see we've got the, we look forward to seeing you at the event name. We've got the event description, location, and time there as well. So all of that updates automatically when I update my campaign fields. So as you may have guessed by now, the campaign fields can be merged into any of the eMarketeer components that you do. So emails, forms, SMSs, mobile apps, landing pages, everything you build here, you can use the campaign fields to drop in values into your content. Now, the neat thing here is that I can now reuse my campaign and very, very quickly update all of the components to a new event. So let's go back to my campaign folder here. Now that we had the breakfast seminar in May, I'm gonna go ahead and create a copy, and I'm gonna rename that to After Work Seminar June. So in June, we're going to do an after work seminar that has a different topic, obviously, some different imageries, different dates, and so on. And I can reuse the stuff that I've done pretty easily. So let's go in. You will recognize this one. We're now in the After Work Seminar June, and the campaign looks like the copy, of course. But now I only need to go into the campaign fields and update my settings. You will see the copy carry with it the right names and the right fields. And what I just need to do is go in and change the date, change the description. This is going to be join us for some classic cocktail recipes and creative marketing campaigns. I'll choose a new image, choose a new location, name, event time, and I'm good to go. So just editing all of these values on one place and then saving that and going back to my components, all of the elements will be updated with all of the different things that I put in. So I don't need to go in and out of all of the different components there. So just let us briefly have a look here. As you can see, the new title has been dropped in, cocktails, chips, and creative campaigns. The new banner image is sitting there on top. The location, time, and a date has been updated, and so on. So with just editing the campaign fields and saving that, all of the components are updated. The form, same thing, new details in the merge fields. Confirmation email, confirmation SMS now has the afternoon or after work event details there. So if you can come up with a way to make your campaigns templates for future campaigns and reuse them by just putting new data into the campaign fields, you can really save a lot of time. So let's say you have a headquarter and you have some subsidiaries that are doing their own events. You can copy your event template to them, and they can just drop in the correct values on the campaign fields, and the whole event is set up automatically. Pretty sweet and really a time saver. So just to sum up what you're able to do with campaign fields, you're able to create a new campaign in minutes based on a previous campaign by just updating the fields. It's 100% customizable, so you can use these campaign fields for events or other values that you need to update in your campaigns. So, and you can have as many or as few campaign fields that you need. Remember, you can also use fallback values. So even if the campaign field is empty, it can still merge in a fallback value if that specific part is not interesting for the campaign you're doing right now. It works in all components across eMarketeer. Where you don't see the personalization icon, you can simply paste in your campaign field from, for instance, from the email editor. If you want to get geeky, it even works in CSS. So if you go to developer mode and edit the style sheet of your email or of your landing pages, you can actually add the campaign fields there. And I've seen this being used already for things like color codes. So if you go into the style sheet and you drop in a campaign field where, for instance, the background color is, you can change the background color on all of the components using a campaign field. Pretty easy. Something to note as well is that the text area field supports HTML, so you can style, like bold or line break your content there. So the larger text blocks, you are more in control of how they look in your content. One note though is campaign field images. You saw I dropped in those header images for the events. They don't resize, so you need to make sure that the size of the image you use there is the correct one. So there is no dynamic resizing of images. So just think about that. If you have large images for your landing pages and smaller images for emails and even something for logos, maybe you want to add a couple of campaign fields that have the different image sizes you need, and then drop in your artwork in those fields. So that's just one thing to note there on that. Here's a question from Lars. I hope it doesn't get too technical. It has to do with API. Can you fetch the campaigns fields through API? Would be great to have that data on our website. Absolutely, Lars. Everything we built, I think, right now is API supported. So we have API endpoints for the campaign fields as well. So I'm already in deep waters here with regards to what I'm able to do, but certainly the API is open for the campaign fields and you can fetch that. If you have more questions on that, shoot me an email or send an email to support@eMarketeer on how to do that, because I'm not really able to show you right here. I'm just not that technical. But the answer is yes, API capabilities with the campaign fields, thumbs up for that one. Thanks for that question. If you have questions, send them my way. All right, so here's another question about what I mean about HTML in text area. Well, basically, let me just jump into eMarketeer real quick and look at this component just for a sec. So this was the copy I did, and I had the description here. Join us for fun after work seminar. We'll learn some classic cocktail recipes and see creative marketing campaigns. Let's say I wanted to do a bit more with that text string with regards to how it is looking. I can go into the campaign field page, and I can use HTML right in the editor here. So I can say, I can bold this one. I'm no web developer, but I know a few of these. I can bold that one, then maybe add a line break or two. And people who know HTML will be laughing their behinds off, but that's it. So I'll just go ahead and do that, add some tags there, and you will see in the components, I want to go into edit. You will see that the top there is now bolded, and there are some line breaks before the next line comes there. So that's what I mean about using HTML in the text area field, because there you have more text, you have more wiggle room to work with, and you can kind of style your content a little bit better there. So I hope that that makes sense. And that answered that question. Okay, so let me move into my presentation again, and let's move on to the next news. Recent news is our new image editor. The new image editor replaced the image editors we had previously, and it is, I think, a lot more intuitive to use, and it has some killer features that I can't get enough of. So I hope that you've given that a spin. First and foremost, it is very easy and intuitive to use. It automatically knows all of the correct image sizes in eMarketeer. So when you go into the image editor in a specific block that has an image, it already knows the correct sizes. It just makes it very, very easy to create images that are spot on, fitting into your template. Another thing, which I'll show you in a sec, is the image archive. You're used to having all of your own images uploaded into eMarketeer, which is totally fine. Of course, you want to do that. But in addition, this image editor has more than 2 million royalty-free images that you can search through and use in your campaigns. So you can search for situations, locations, dogs, cats, towns, cities, meetings, desktops, whatever. You go to town, more than 2 million images to choose from there. Same thing with icons, fonts, just a lot of royalty-free stuff you can use here and actually create your images from scratch using the image editor directly in eMarketeer. So let's have a look at creating an image like this and how the image editor actually works. So I'm just going to add another block down here, and we're going to add a full width image like this one, add that block to my campaign. And now onto my email. Now, normally you would go into the eMarketeer image archive, you would upload your own, or you would use a URL to bring an image into eMarketeer. And you can, of course, still do all of that, but you can actually open the image editor and just start creating an image right inside eMarketeer image editor, which is pretty powerful with all of the royalty photos. So as you can see, it knows the size that the template expects, 620 by 250, but you're not restricted to that. You can go ahead and say, well, actually, I would like a larger image for this one because this is really like, this is my event, so I'm gonna boost that and just create a bigger image there. Then over here, I'm going to backgrounds, and this is what is really, really magical. You can search for all of these different things. So let's say you wanted to search for dog, you can do that. You've got tons of dog images. Let's say you want to do an event in Oslo. We have tons of royalty Oslo images and so on. You get the idea. Meeting and so on. Now, whenever you choose an image, it automatically sizes correctly to the image parameters you have over here. So you never need to worry about the image size there, which is pretty awesome. You can also think about colors. So if you have a specific style you're going for, like desk blue, you can combine and see you've got some blue tints, blue shades, blue colors. So it kind of matches not only the items you're looking for, but also the scene or the colors that you are going for. You can, for instance, do what I did when I designed this one, cocktails above. And you will see you get some shots from cocktails from above, from the top there. I'm going to go ahead and add that one. So there you have your image. It's automatically sized correctly. You can obviously still scale and move it around and crop it. So let's say you just wanted one cocktail there, you can scale it and move it around really easy. You can also toggle a grid so you can see how your layout is doing. You can clone, undo, and so on, like the basic features that you would like to have there. Let's go ahead and add a shape in this position. I'm going to add a color. Let's get my blue color that I like. Get this one. There we go. Just copy that one in and click here and paste my color code in. I'm gonna grab some transparency and then kind of resize, move this around. Now, I'm no designer. If you've been on a webinar before, you know I make that very clear as a disclaimer. I'm not a designer, but as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. You've got guides and rulers to help you out to organize that. Let me just put off that one so you won't be disturbed by my colleagues. Add some text there to your campaign or to your image here. Just change the colors to white. This one is a bit in my way. There we go. White text. You can choose between these 700 fonts or more. Bring that size way down to something like that. Edit. And then you can position this as you want. So you can see really straightforward dragging and dropping around in this new image editor and making your image position and align as you would like. Add more text. For instance, I'm going to add here and say, I'm going to do my standard font, which is going to be Roboto. There we go. That's probably quite too large. So there we go. And then, of course, move around, resize, adjust, and so on. So very straightforward for you to edit your images, always be on the correct size with regards to your template and the resolution for your campaign, and just easily bring that back into eMarketeer. There's some neat tricks as well you can do. You've got on the graphics piece, you have icons. You've got tons of vector icons that can really scale, and you can color them with your web color codes. You can upload your own overlays, like your logos or whatever you need on top of the artwork here. With regards to the background, you also have color styles you can add. So as you can see, I can kind of tint and change the color and look and feel of the image there. So again, being no designer and not being any Photoshop Illustrator Pro, this is very easy for me to do some pretty nice artwork directly in my workflow in eMarketeer. When I click Save and Exit, the image is brought back to eMarketeer, it's sized correctly, it's stored on the eMarketeer server, and it just sits snug as a bug in my campaign right there. So very easy to use, and I'd say the addition of the image archive and all of the icons there is just really, really nice to have as a starting point. And I find that typically when I look for images, you kind of get these happy sales guy or lady with headphones or headset on talking on the phone, very stock photo-ish. I think a lot of the images in this image archive, they're based on a site called Unsplash, which is royalty-free photos, but they're not classical, real American photo stock style. There are really a lot of great photos there that you can use in your campaigns. So definitely something to check out if you haven't already done so. So try creating artwork from scratch. Think about the more than 2 million photos that are there, royalty-free, 900 fonts, 700 vector icons that you can resize, scale, and color. And yeah, again, it's easy and intuitive. So I'll hope you give that a spin, and it'd be interesting to see if you can create some artwork there. And feel free to share that with me by just shooting me an email with some of the stuff you've done. It's always interesting to see what you guys are up to with your campaigns and the artwork there. So if you're courageous like that, let me know. All right, next up is the campaign dashboard, which kind of started it's live in the campaign overview where you had all of your components, but we really saw a lot of cool use cases and people really liked the widgets. So we've kind of given it a new home and beefed up the layout options and the different widgets we have there. So I hope you guys enjoy that. We're going to go through some of the most noticeable updates there. So first of all, we launched with these 3 widgets, and recently we added the email performance widget and the email top list widget, which we'll be looking at. The email performance takes a specific email or your latest email and compares it to the average performance of all of the emails in the campaign that you are in. The email top list, well, it shows you how all of the emails in the campaign have performed compared to one another, looking at click-to open rates, click-through rates, and open rates. So we'll look at those in a sec. The first thing you'll notice is obviously that it has a new home. It's now called Dashboards. Previously, they sat on top of the components there, but it just makes more sense that when you want to do more reporting and more dashboarding, you want to have more real estate to play around with, and that's what we've added on the Dashboards tab here. So let's have a look at what's going on in the dashboards. So the dashboard is now loading based on a demo campaign that I have here. So the first thing you'll see is now that the tiles or the widgets, they have different sizes. So you have more flexibility with your layout. They can be full width, they can be 1, 2, or 3 columns wide. They can be 2 widgets tall or half a widget tall as this one. They're also now drag and drop, so you can simply drag and drop your widgets around to lay out the dashboard as you would like. And as you will see in a sec, some of the widgets, they look differently. They adapt to their position and their size. So this one, the goal gauge here is actually the same as this one. They're just different sizes. But let's dive right into the different ones. The first one here being the email performance. As you can see, you've got your open rate here. The average campaign open rate in this case is 20%. Versus your latest send out, which in this case is called newsletter storytelling, which had an open rate of 17%. You can see the average click-through rate and the average and the click-through rate of the latest send out you did, the average click-to open rate, and the latest click-to open rate. So you can kind of see how your latest send out performed versus your average benchmark in this campaign. If you open up the widget, you can choose whether you would like your latest email to be featured in the email performance widget, or you can choose a specific email to look at. So if you want to see how a specific email is performing versus average, you can just go ahead and choose that specific email. Here's where you choose the width of the widget and the height of the widget. When you open the widget, you can see a little bit more detail than you can see in the chart or in the bar chart up there. So that's the email performance widget. How is a specific email doing relative to your average email performance on these different parameters? Then we have another new widget, which is the email top list. The email top list kind of shows the hit list of emails in your campaign. So it lists all of the emails and sorts them by the KPI that you're looking at. It shows the sent, how many you've sent, the open rate, click-through rate, and click-to-open rate. And you decide which one is going to decide which makes the top list here. So if I open up the widget, I can choose a date range, this year or all time. I can choose what to sort by, open rate, click-through rate, or click-to-open rate. And again, I can choose the size and the height. So if I choose open rate instead, it will reorganize, and now the email with the highest open rate will be at the top. And I'm going to go back to click-through rate on this one. Done. So that is the email top list. It gives an easy overview of how your emails are stacking up to one another, and you can go into the different emails and see how you are, which emails have performed best, and kind of learn from your performance there. At the very bottom, you also see the average, so you can see the best one is, in this case, was the click-through rate of 7%, and your average there is 3. So it kind of gives you an idea of how much better that actually was. The widgets you see here, as mentioned, these are actually the same. So when I go into this one, let's open this one up. It is actually a goal gauge. So if I choose height 1, you will see that this is the familiar campaign goal. But when I choose half the height, or the height of a half, it adapts and looks like this, where you can see kind of the performance down here on the percentage bar there, and you can see the number counting up there. So some different layout options for you right there. So I think it's pretty neat. Now it's really starting to come together as a dashboard. We're adding more widgets to it, and the latest addition being the performance, email performance, and the email top list there. If you want to add more, obviously, you just go to Add Report widget, and you've got your different widgets to choose from there. Another nice addition as well that came around in this release was the share capability. So you can go ahead and create a shared report, newsletter dashboard would be a good name, I guess, for webinar. You can give it a password if you like, save and publish, and an online version is made available. So we're going to click this one, and the browser will open the real-time, up-to-date version of that dashboard in the browser, and you can share this dashboard with people outside of eMarketeer, right? So even for people that are not eMarketeer users, you can share campaign reports. Let's say you want to see create a great event marketing dashboard. How many people have we invited? How many have registered? How many showed up? And so on. You can create these kind of dashboards and share them in your organization, or even put them into web panels in your CRM. So those are all options that are available now due to the share option that we added there. So let me just get back to this one. Here we are. So if you have any questions about the dashboard and the dashboarding capabilities, let me know. It's pretty neat now. I think it looks much, much better when it has so much real estate and you have all of these layout options available to you. And lastly, sharing is pretty neat, so you don't have to shoot screen dumps or PDFs of your performance, which is bound to be out of date, out of sync the moment you've sent them in your email. So that's the way to go about that. Hope you like the new campaign. Let me know if you have any questions. So just to sum up, separate tab now, more space, 2 new widgets, the top emails and the email performance that you can play around with, and then the ability to lay out more freely, adjusting width, height, and dragging and dropping this stuff around. So hope you like that. We certainly are looking at our KPIs much more frequently now when they're really in your face like that. All right, last of the recent news is filtering on engagement. We brought about filters earlier this year, which is a complete new take on how you segment and focus on specific contacts based on what they've done across all of the different things that you can track in eMarketeer. So across all of the engagement they have, and all of the fields you have on the contact card. So you must have played around with that and hopefully saved your filters and added some shortcuts to that. But there are some new tricks to the filters that are pretty nice. So the filters are over here on the contacts tab. You'll find your filters. And as you know, you can choose all of the engagement fields, contact fields, like all of the fields from the contact card, delivery dates, consent types, subscriptions, contact lists belonging to different lists, and so on. So basically everything that eMarketeer knows, you can filter on. So let's say I wanted to filter on people who visited my website. I want to look at the ones that visited a specific page, in this case, avenir.com/Porsche. That's the page that I want to look at. And that was what you could do previously with filters, which is nice, but it gave me everybody that been to the website throughout history. And it also didn't matter whether the person had been there once or 15 times to that page. Now with the occurrence and time frame on engagement, you can be more specific on what you want eMarketeer to return in that filter. So let me say to eMarketeer, please give me everybody that's been to the Porsche page on my site 2 times or more at any time. And I also want to see anybody that has clicked any email twice, and I can apply that filter. Oh, sorry. So as you can see, I can mix my engagement with occurrence and time frames. So I want to see people who've done something for a specific number of times or in a specific time frame. So I want to see people who've clicked 3 of my emails in the last 2 weeks, or been to 3 specific URLs within a specific time frame. So you can really get very, very narrow with your focus on the engagement filtering here. And remember, when you save filters, the occurrence and time frame is also saved. So you have a dynamic filter that respects how many times a thing should have happened and in which time frame you're interested in. Right, so this gives you more filtering, more segmentation options with the filter builder that you already know, and the whole gig with saving them and adding them as favorites over here is just the same. So it's just the occurrence, which is a pretty nice addition there. So just to sum up, you now have occurrence and time frame when you filter on engagement, which enables you to answer questions like which contacts have clicked any email links at least twice in the last 30 days, or who has visited a specific page on my site in the last 2 weeks. Questions like that, where you have occurrence and time frame, now easy to answer using filters that looks at all of your campaigns, all of your components across your entire eMarketeer account. All right. I hope that you are digging the stuff here. If you've tried everything already and you're completely up to speed, this was just a repetition, but I'm sure that you've seen some stuff here that you maybe have read about or seen in the chat, but haven't tried out yet. So I hope you will do that. So, drum roll. What are we working on now and are looking forward to release in the very near future? Now, I don't have a tendency of talking about our roadmap and what's coming. I like to speak with absolute certainty when we demo and do stuff like this, but I can guarantee you this is coming in the very near future. And we are finally introducing lead scoring in eMarketeer. Now we're calling this lead scoring version 1 because this is just the beginning. These are the first steps into the foray of lead scoring, and we're bringing you on so that you can start testing out lead scoring for yourself. And then we are adding more and more bells and whistles and more advanced lead scoring features. But this is version 1, and this is what you'll be seeing in eMarketeer in the quite near future. So on the contacts tab in eMarketeer shortly, not today, but in a few weeks, you will see a new tab over here called lead scoring. And this is where the lead scoring happens, where you create your lead score rules. Now, what is lead score? We're going to cover all of this. This is just a sneak peek, all right? But lead scoring is really a way to identify which contacts in eMarketeer are more hot than others based on what they're doing, what they're clicking on, what they're visiting, what they're answering, what type of person they are, what country they live in, and so on. You can pick all of these different things from the contact card, from the engagement, and score accordingly, and accumulatively add up a lead score for your contacts in eMarketeer. So when you go into, again, this is just a sneak preview. We're going to cover this in much more details with webinars and tutorials and so on, but now you know what's coming. So when you go into lead scoring, you can add score sets, and score sets are just a bunch of rules that you can apply to your basic lead scoring in eMarketeer. You can create several score sets, and you can make them active and inactive, so they can be relevant in one time frame but not in another, and you can play around with that and really make this dynamic. So let's go ahead and build a new rule here. So I'm going to say add a new rule. I'm going to call this email activity, and then I can choose, much like you're familiar with from filters, I can choose engagement, I can choose contact fields, and I can choose contact lists, and I can score accordingly. So in this case, I'm going to say, okay, email engagement in any email that is clicked, that is going to be my first rule. So if people are clicking my emails, I'm going to apply that rule. I can add a score. I can say it should add or remove a specific number of points to their lead score. And I can say when these points should expire, right? Because an action today is more interesting than an action 6 months ago. So I can have lead score decay, if you will, or expire over time. So in this case, I'm telling eMarketeer, well, with the rule I just set, email activity, which is any click in any email should add a score of 10 to the contact clicking. Now, this rule will only run once per contact, so it's not like for every link they click, they get an additional 10 points. Those are features that are coming. This is the basic score set where you score behavior and characteristics of your contacts. So let's add another rule. We're going to call this website activity. Again, on engagement, I'm going to go to website, eMarketeer.com, visited any page, and apply that rule. Again, give it a score, adding or removing scores, give it the number, and set the expiry. So these are two kind of behavioral scores. These are triggered whenever people do something, in this case, click the email, or in this case, visit the website. And then I want to add another one that is not behavior-based, but is more demographic-based or characteristics-based. So I'm going to call this Sweden and Norway because I'm more interested in the leads coming from these two regions. I'm going to go to contact fields and country and say country equals Norway or country equals Sweden. So that's my rule for Norway and Sweden. Either the country is set to Norway on the contact card or to Sweden, apply that, and also give that an additional 10 points. So this is just an idea to show you how you can add rules and add or remove points from the accumulated lead score there on your contacts. All right, then you want to go ahead and save your score set here, and you want to make it active, and then give eMarketeer a little bit of time to chew on all of the behavioral data and the characteristics data, and the lead score will start to show up on the contacts lists. So when you go to contacts, you will see that next to the contacts, you will see the lead score. So basically, how the points have added up based on their characteristics and based on the behavior on these rules that have been running on the contacts, you will see the lead score. You can, of course, sort, so you see the leads or the contacts with the highest score up at the top there. And also in this release, you will be able to filter on scores. So you can say, I want to see everybody in my database with a score greater than whatever, and then apply that filter. And of course, you can combine this score filter with other criteria for your filter. So let's say I want to see everybody with the score greater than 40 that visited my website at least twice in the last 2 weeks. You know, whatever it is that that floats your boat with regards to how you want to focus in and narrow in on your contacts' engagement and their behavior and their characteristics, combining scores and your filters. So that's pretty powerful. It's only version 1 as mentioned, so we're going to bring much more lead scoring capabilities, but we want to get our feet wet. And also, lead scoring is not a simple exercise. You know, you need to decide in your lead scoring model, and we'll be talking about that more when we release the feature here, what to think about when you are setting a lead score. It's not cut in stone. It's an organic exercise that you'll be doing, and you won't get it right the first time, but luckily it's very easy to adapt and change in eMarketeer, as you can see. Other places where you'll be seeing the lead score from the get-go here is on the contact card. You can see the lead score of the contact when you look at the contact card in eMarketeer there as well. So so that is lead scoring from the version 1 perspective here. Let me see, there's some questions popping in. There's a question here saying, can you have more than one, just let me bring that box up here. Can you have more than one rule and more than one score set? Absolutely. Maybe I didn't make that quite clear. Let me get back to this view where you create your first score set. So as you can see here, you can have many different score sets, and a score set is a combination of rules, and it's the score set as a total, then you make active or inactive. So let's say I want to organize it this way. I have a score set that only looks on characteristics like industry, country, company size. You know, if I have this data on my contact cards, so I can create one score set that looks on characteristics or demographics, and then I could create another score set that looks on behavior. That's a nice way to organize, I think, your score sets so that you can see what's going on in the different score sets. Also, you could have score sets that are relevant for a specific country, for instance. Let's say we're focusing on the UK in the next 6 months. We can create score sets around the United Kingdom with specific cities or regions or whatever that gives different scores. And when that campaign is not relevant or that focus is not relevant anymore, I can inactivate the score set. So absolutely, more score sets is possible. And as you can see, more rules, I'll just click through here, more rules in one score set is absolutely possible. So you've got quite a lot of flexibility there, but the thing to keep in mind is it is the score set you do make active or inactive. So if you combine different things in the score set, you will make them active or inactive for the entire score set there. Okay, I hope that that makes sense. Thanks for the questions. Keep them coming if you have more things that you're curious about with regards to this. But just let me sum up for the lead scoring version 1 here. You can set score on any engagement across all components in eMarketeer. You can score on contact card fields, and you can score on whether people belong to contact lists or not. So these are the 3 things you can score on. The score rules will run once per contact, right? So if you set a score rule that looks on website visit, that rule will run once for that contact. So if they visit the site more times, the score won't accumulatively add up for that specific rule. You can add and remove scores, and you can have the score expire over time, as you saw in the brief demo there. You can see the lead score on the contact list. You can sort, and you can filter on scores above or below whatever value you choose. So that is version 1 of lead scoring that you'll be seeing in the near future. And as promised, this is just the beginning. When you get more familiar with lead scoring, we will also be releasing more features and more capabilities with regards to lead scoring, but you'll have to stay tuned for that one. It's not coming in version 1. All right, so you may think that this was a lot to take in, and granted it is. Our dev team and tech team have really been keeping themselves busy. They've done a lot of cool stuff this year, but as always, reach out to us, hit the chat box, bot in eMarketeer, reach out to support@eMarketeer.com or any of your eMarketeer partners and resellers. We'll be happy to help you out figuring out how to make best use of these new things. Also, if you haven't, check out support@eMarketeer.com. It's really, yeah, I know it's been a bit dormant. We haven't been at the top of our game adding more articles there, but I'm telling you, we are busy adding more articles to this site now, so you'll be seeing a lot more content there. So check out support@eMarketeer.com, search for what you're looking for, be it campaign fields, image editor. You'll find our tutorials there, a lot of good insights to find there. And obviously, webinars like these, we have more than 25 on-demand webinars on the website on eMarketeer.com/webinars. Just check out the webinars on demand whenever it suits you. To check out both, top-level topics like SEO or marketing trends, or dive into product-specific webinars such as lead management in eMarketeer or event management in eMarketeer, and so on. Just a lot of content to go through there. Now, we're closing in on the hour. If you have questions that I haven't answered yet, shoot them my way, and I will do my best answering them. I will gladly stick around for a little longer if you have. And if not, I have just enjoyed presenting the recent changes or the recent releases and news that we have done in eMarketeer, and I'm pretty thrilled about the sneak peek on lead scoring. I think you will find that easy to set up. Lead scoring may be hard to do right, but at least we've made it easy to do in eMarketeer. So as we grow with our lead scoring capabilities, I'm sure you will too, and it'll be a quite powerful tool for you in understanding which of your leads should be most interesting to reach out to at a certain time. So stay tuned for more info on that release, and we'll be sending out tutorials and information and so on as we do when we release new stuff. All right, we're at the hour almost. There are no more questions. So just want to thank you for your time today on the webinar. I hope you learned something new and were reminded about some of the stuff that we have put into eMarketeer recently. We're going to send out an email to you. I'm going to send that out later today with the recording, so you can go back and check out what you may have missed or want to revisit. Feel free to hit reply on that email, letting me know what you think, or if you have ideas for webinars that you would like me to do in the future, features that you would like to dive into in a webinar, or whatever you think. Your feedback is just really valuable when we plan for new webinars and content generally. So let me know about that. So thanks for today. Enjoy the new features. Stay tuned for lead scoring, and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.